Hey everyone, today I am drawing Karlach from Baldurs Gate 3. Why? Because she is wonderful and amazing and I love her. And because I think she is pretty and I wanted to capture that in a drawing. So I'm kind of just doing like a simple portrait of her. Just kind of like at a slightly downturned like 3/4 angle. And it was kind of hard to do her horns from this angle, if I'm being honest. And I have that reference picture on the side that you can see. And I chose that picture because her face just kind of looked a little bit sad in it. I'm pretty sure it's from a screenshot that I took from my game, and not a screenshot online. I'm pretty sure I took it from my game. I think, one of the things that I really liked about this drawing is how her eyes turned out. I worked pretty hard to kind of get this like smoldering look on her, and I feel like she kind of looks like, I feel like I captured the sadness a little bit, but at the same time I feel like she kind of looks a bit like, I don't know, like pouty as well. I really worked on her eyelashes. I wanted to make her eyelashes look very, like, batty, if that makes sense. I think I struggle with eyelashes a lot, and I think a lot of times when I draw them, they end up looking crazy and all over the place, or they're too small and fringy, or they're too chunky and square. And I think part of that is because, like, I haven't really found a good balance in my style yet of what I want and what I want to do, because it's like, to some extent I want to do like a realistic style, but at the same time I'm also influenced by anime style and, you know, a more cartoonish style, and I do like the way that looks too. So it's like I guess I try to incorporate both, and I guess that's why I say I don't really have like a full style yet, or I'm still like working on it because I haven't really figured it out exactly, you know. But yeah, but I mean, this portrait in particular stays pretty painterly. It stays a bit loose. As you can see, I just did the sketch and then I just directly on the sketch cleaned it up. I didn't do any like real line art. And that's because I hate doing line art. I don't know why, but I hate it, and I feel like whenever I do line art on top of my sketch, it comes out worse than when I just clean up the sketch. And the only time I'll do line art is if I'm doing a really anime style character, or like an actual anime character, in terms of if it's like a real fan art or something like that. But yeah. But I think this one came out nice. I think I kind of got this balance, because it's like I keep the lines and I keep them kind of dark, and I kept them this blue color because I thought that would be interesting instead of going for a black or going for like a darker red, like maybe would have matched her skin tone a bit better. I kind of thought like maybe just leaving it as this bluish purple would give it some contrast. But overall, I think the sketch of her face came out really nice. Yeah, I think the placement of everything came out really nice. I think it looks pretty proportionate. I feel like the ear might be kind of off though, but I mean, in my defense, it's a pointy elf ear, and there's not really a lot of realistic references of what that looks like in different angles, so, you know, I did my best with that, but I think it still came out alright. Maybe I should have pointed it a little bit more outwards, but yeah, I don't know. I think it looks alright. I might even change it later on in the video. I'm not sure. I'm kind of rewatching it back as I do the voiceover. Another thing that was kind of hard was getting her horns and her hair kind of looking right. And trying to get the right amount of detail in both, but also like I didn't want to overdo it because I still wanted it to be kind of a bit loose and painterly and not like super lined, because like I said, I hate doing a lot of line art. But yeah, so I kept the hair kind of loose. And I think later on I go in and detail the horns, and I use this textured brush. I think it might be the crayon brush or a pastel brush, and I color the horns in with some extra texture, and I think it looks really nice, but well, we'll get to that a bit later too. But right now I'm just kind of cleaning up the sketch, adding in the hair. I've added a little bit of detail into her hair. I tried to add the braid and some of those like metal details she's got. I don't know what they are, if they're like little kind of things to hold the braids together, or they're just like little bead details. I don't know exactly what they are, but yeah. And then I also thought it was really fun to add texture to her horns on the base where it connects to her head. I like that on her reference image she's got a lot of these little like study horns that are poking out right at the base of her horns. I think it's kind of cute, and probably realistic. I would say getting her skin tone right was the hardest part about this, because since she's so red already, it was hard because, with like a regular toned human with regular normal skin tones, I usually go in and do a layer of reds or pinks to give them a base tone to make them look more human, because whenever you add like a base of reds or pinks, it gives somebody this kind of flush look in their cheeks that just real humans have, and it always makes it look better in my opinion. But it was really hard to do that for her because she's already so red. So I think what I end up doing is going in with a pink color. I'm not sure if it was a hot pink or if it was a violet, but I think that's what I ended up doing to try and get some depth and dimension in her face. So I would say that's kind of the one thing that not the one thing, but the biggest thing that I would say that I struggled with in this drawing in particular was getting her skin tone right and getting dimension in her face. Her hair was also really fun to do because she's got a lot of these red streaks, red dye in her hair as well. And it was pretty fun to figure out how to place that in along with the black in her hair. And I think for her hair, I end up making it a dark blue color. I can't remember if it's either like a really dark blue. Well, I guess I can just look right here in the video. It looks like I do a really kind of dark blue navy-ish color, again to contrast with the red, and I think it looks really nice. I like it. And for her patchy hair side, I do this kind of like textured brush. I think I use an airbrush, like the spray brush, to do the texture there. I think if I could go back and do this again, I might use one of the chalk or crayon brushes instead, because I feel like those generally have a better texture when it comes to making something look a little bit more like rough around the edges. But yeah, so right now I'm just kind of getting in the base colors, getting everything blocked in, and I would say color matching the horns was the hardest, or the second hardest besides the skin, because I'm trying not to color pick from the images so much anymore. I'm trying to be better about figuring out where the color is on the color wheel just by like my eyes, because I've heard other artists say that it's good for you if you do that, and I think, well, I would like to get better, and I think, well, I might as well just follow advice from better artists than me. So that's why you kind of see me there struggle to pick the right color. But yeah, I think once I get it, I think it looks nice. It's kind of this I don't even know how to describe it. I don't have a word for that color, but it's kind of almost like a violetish brown, is how I would describe it. But I think it complements the rest of the colors in there. Another thing is I'm still trying to figure out what's a good length for these videos, because when I do my drawings, like the the raw files are, I mean, like several hours, right? Gosh, I mean, anywhere from like 3 hours to 5 or 6 hours. And so I've kind of been trying to like pre-edit some, because it's like I have a few recorded in a backlog, right? I've been trying to edit some, and I usually put them up at like 500 speed, and it'll bring it down to like an hour-long video. But I'm kind of thinking like that's probably still too long, and I feel like people aren't gonna click on a 40-minute to an hour-long quote-unquote speed paint. So I'm kind of thinking like I guess I need to make them even faster. Like originally this one with Karlach, I was gonna have it or I had it sped up to, I want to say like 600%, and it was gonna be like a 30-something 40-minute video. And then I just kind of I don't know, I went on YouTube and I started looking up other speed paints, and they're all like 10 to 15 minutes. So I'm thinking like, oh, okay, that's definitely too long. I really need to speed it up. So I've gone ahead and sped this one up from what I originally had it. And now it should only be like 20 minutes, which is still kind of a long time. Maybe I'll try and speed it up even more. That would be helpful for me, because then I wouldn't have to think of so many things to say, and my commentary could be a bit shorter. But yeah, I don't know. I guess let me know if you don't mind longer videos, or if you're fine with shorter ones. I just think for like, since I don't really have an audience yet, like a huge audience, because I think as of the time that I'm recording this, I think I have like 13 subscribers, which is, I mean, amazing. I'm grateful I have any subscribers at all. But yeah, I don't know. Like, I guess my pool to get opinions from isn't very large. And I don't know if people appreciate long videos, or if I should make them a bit shorter. So, I mean, I guess it'll just be a process, right? Like, I'll just have to figure it out and see. I mean, but yeah, I don't know. I think I'm going to start aiming for these speed paints to be like maybe max 15 to 20 minutes long. But in terms of what's happening with the art on screen, I am rendering right now, essentially. I'm trying to add depth, trying to add some bounce lights, because right now Karlach is in an astral realm-ish setting, an otherworldly setting, hence the kind of blue aurora-ish sky in the background. And so for that, I added these like light blue kind of highlights to the edges of her face and her nose to kind of accentuate that lighting, I guess, or to imply that lighting on her face. I'm still, learning about lighting as I go, and more complex stuff like bounce lights and all that. I'm barely starting to kind of figure that stuff out. So yeah, so this is kind of me experimenting with that. But yeah, right now just rendering her skin, rendering her face, trying to get that depth, which is, I think, really hard against her skin tone, because her skin is red, and I think it's just really hard to get it to look good. Yeah, I don't know, it's much harder than I thought doing like a different skin tone, and trying to render it like semi-realistically. But yeah, now it looks like I'm rendering her hair, and so what I kind of do is I use, I think for this one I mainly use the square brush on Clip Studio Paint, which I think is just like a default brush. Let me like double check that. Yeah, it looks like I'm just using the square brush, and then what I do is I go in with the Painterly blender. I don't know if I think it's called the Painterly blender or Paint Style blender, something like that. And I use that to blend in the edges, because I think it gives it a good texture. It helps the hair, I think, look hair-like. Because, I don't know, I think with the square blender, it kind of gives it a little bit of structure like real hair has. So yeah, that's what I did. And then I added some stray hairs, some little hairs that are just kind of going around. I tried to add some highlights, but again, it's kind of hard because her hair is black pink-ish, but also red. And I don't know, I kind of struggle with hair, if I'm being honest. I think it's because, I don't know, my hair, it's the hair that I draw. It's not like fully realistic, but it's also not like completely cartoony and like anime. And another thing I did already was her eyes. Her eyes were like this really pretty kind of golden. I think I used a glow layer to get it to have that kind of glowing shine. And so in Clip Studio, and I don't know if other art programs have it, they probably do, but if you go into the layer types where it's kind of, it'll have different types like multiply or overlay, add layers. It'll also have add layers, and when you do an add glow layer, it'll do kind of what it says. It'll have like a glowing effect, and it's really good for making really like nice lighting usually. It's also good for adding little effects. I like to usually add it to the eyes, I think, because it kind of gives the eyes like this shining depth that I think looks really nice in eyes. But yeah. And then now I'm texturing the horns, and like I said, I really liked how the horns turned out. I think they came out with a really nice kind of like rough and rustic texture, and I don't know, I just like the way they came out. And they were a bit hard because of the angles, and then because like the one horn that's chipped, but then I went back, I think I talked about it earlier, with this kind of crayon brush, and I did these like rough lines to be the highlight on it, and then I kind of smudged them in, and I think they turned out really nice. I think from a distance, when you zoom in close, I think it looks maybe a bit too obviously like a pencil brush, but when you zoom out and you see it as a whole picture, I think it looks nice. I think it adds like a rough texture to it. And I think I'll just leave the rest of the video. There should be a little bit more time just for you guys to chill and finish it out. And then I'll be back for the outro. But yeah, I guess that's gonna be it for this video, you guys. this is going to be the final image. I hope you all enjoyed. And if you did enjoy, make sure you like and subscribe so that you can be here for next time I post some art. I'm going to try to post one of these at least once a week. I've got my little shorts where I do my silly little animations, and then I have, I'm probably going to be playing some games on this channel too, just to kind of fill in the gaps of time, because it takes a while to make art. But I hope that I can post like once a week at least for you guys. But yeah, thank you for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe, and we'll see you next week. Bye.